She had chosen some things she had chosen to do for me. She didn't necessarily always agree with the choices I made, but she always supported them. Um, I can remember when I was at high school, sophomore, going to my junior year, I was elected class president, and I don't know how she found out. She must have called the school because she was already gone to work by the time I got home. It had a great big poster board made, "Hail to the Chief," and it touched me. I remember those are the little things. Those are the little things that you remember. Sort of like Zach, and I'll talk about Zach and Deb in a moment here. But the little things. But so my dad, when I do something wrong, my mom was a waitress, a server. So back in those days, she always had a lot of coins, a lot of change. So if I needed something, I just go dip into that change. Well, one day, I must have dipped too deep because she caught me. She found out. And she came in angry and she was crying and she said, "Wait till your dad gets home." Now that's punishment worse than death. To tell you, wait till. And so I sat there in the den, just knowing my dad got home, I was dead. Because I always figured, he didn't need me. He could always make another one just like me, or better than me. But the thing is she never told him. But she had already punished me enough by telling me, "Wait till my dad got home. You'll get it then." I don't remember her ever spanking me. I don't remember that, and I'm sure she did. But my dad always took that promotion of a job to himself. Then there's the mother of my children. Always their biggest cheerleader, Zach said. Always looking for the best for them to show itself in them. And all three of our children, I believe, are reflections of her and her heart. I really believe that. I have always believed that. By telling Rob, "You're a mighty man of God," when he was going through the struggles in life, when he's trying to run from God, she would pour into him almost daily, at least every time she saw him. And then when Mindy lost her son to stillbirth, she was right there beside Mindy, and always has been, and always been there for Mindy and everything that she did. And then giving Zach a black eye on Mother's Day. And him going back to school and telling everybody he actually hurt he did it to himself when she actually did it. She didn't mean to do it, but he had a black eye for several days afterwards. But the thing is that she was always there for them, and I didn't know he was going to be here today. I still wanted to tell the story. But the thing is that a mom's heart, as I said a minute ago, all of us could go through great lengths. Every one of us that have a mom or have had a mom go through great lengths of the stories we can tell about our moms, about the people that nurtured us from the very beginning, that they carried us in their womb and gave birth to us. I didn't know what it was like to give birth. I was in there with Mindy when Kylie was born, and it's like, "I'm sorry, Deb, I did that to you 3 times," but from the very beginning, they carry the baby. And I can remember when Mindy lost Kaylin, and how devastating it was for her for years. I think still to this day, to some degree. Not as strong, not as harsh, but it was that way. And so every mom can look, if you've got your children with you today, you can look at them and go, "I can remember giving birth. I can remember all the little things." And then moms always have this way of doing things too, because like babies, and I'm going to get to my message in a minute. This is all introduction. We had Rob when we were in Texas. It's just the two of us. And we had a 3-bedroom home, fully furnished, because we were in the Army, but it was really the soldier that had it before us. And I remember we would take turns changing the diapers, right? And at first, diapers are not a bad deal, because they don't stink bad. I'm just telling you guys, for when you get married and have kids. Thing is, take Rob's diaper open, and all of a sudden this aroma hit. Now he's on the changing table. I can't get any farther than an arm's. I said, "Debbie, I can't do this. You're going to have to." I'm about ready to. And she stood in the doorway, didn't move, and laughed. Did that happen to you? Yeah. Every husband in here has felt this moment. And she laughed. But she finally gave way. She feared I was going to take my hand off her son, and she didn't want him to roll off the table. But every one of us realize that we're not guaranteed the next 5 minutes, let alone the next 5 or 10 years with our families. And it's important for us to if not daily, at least enough times when we see each other to exchange our memories, to say I love you, things like that to your mom or even your wife. But the thing is because it's important to realize that I believe, again, I'm going to say it again, I'm going to say it again later, that the closest you can get to the heart of God is the heart of a mother. Turn me now over to 2 Corinthians chapter 3 as I lay out what I'm going to say, what I've said 3 times already. In 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 1 through 3 says this, are we beginning to commend ourselves again? Or do we need, as some, letters of commendation to you from you? Verse 2 says this, you are our letter written on our hearts, known and read to all men. Paul is not talking about mothers here, but all of us men need to realize, and daughters I guess too, need to realize that mom's write on our hearts. A mom's words write impressions upon us that last forever. And I could go on and on about things with my mom, and I thought about that, and I thought, no, because I want to make sure we encompass everybody. I tell her enough. I said I love you about 16 years ago, and I haven't changed my mind, so it's still good, right? But it's written on our hearts, the things that they did for us and have done to us. And impressed upon our hearts what it is. And verse 3 says this, being manifest that you are a letter of Christ. You know, the saying is that you meet somebody and they may not know Jesus, but they just met Jesus supposedly through you. And beloved, that's the way it is every time we look at our mom, we see Jesus there. His love, his compassion for us, his seeing us, even though we don't see who we are, what we could be, he sees us. Well, that's what a mom does. That's what Debbie did with Rob. I'm sure that's what my mom did with me. Is when I was wandering in the wilderness and she had come to the Lord, I know that her prayers were that we would get our lives straightened around. And I know that was with Debbie. When she spoke into Rob, when she spoke about Mindy or about Zach, those were her words, is that they would come into the root system that is already there. I talked to somebody, a friend of mine from college, texted me last night. He iMessaged me for some reason. And he was talking about he had a daughter that was wandering away from the faith. And when I told him, I said, you just got to keep standing firm on your proclamation over her, because her root system will kick back in. That root system is deep. And so every one of us that have a family member, a mother especially, that's praying for us, you can't win. As far as you can't stay gone for long. I would say win. I didn't mean you're winning anyway, but you can't lose is a better way to put it. Because a mom's prayers go to the very heart of the Father. And because he has their heart. It's not written with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God. You know, my mom was a writer. She writes things. Every once in a while just send me something the Lord gave her. And I find them all the time. And it's like something the Lord gave her about the church, about me, and I'll rewrite them and put them in my journals or whatever. And the thing is because the Lord is always speaking to her about me or things that are important to me, just like your moms. They speak words to you. You need to hear the words, and it may not sound right at first, but just like I said with those verses today, those verses may not hit home this morning, but as you meditate on them, as you meditate on the word of your mom, you'll find that it'll strike deep within you. It's not always what you want to hear in the beginning. I know it's not always. I know it wasn't what Rob wanted to hear when she would say, "You're a mighty man of God," because he was running so hard and so fast, he didn't want to hear that. And I'm sure back when I was running hard, all I needed to do is say, "Hey, it's getting tight over here." My mom had slipped me $20. I remember we lost our first church. her and my dad, should probably led by her, but they started. And I'm not in agreement with this today. I'm just telling you what they did. They started giving their tithe to Deb and I because we were out of the ministry. Didn't really know what we were going to do. It happened so quickly until we got established again, and then they moved their tithe where it needed to be. And I'm not saying you do that with your tithe. Your tithe goes where it's supposed to go, and that's the church. But it could be seed. We seed to our kids all the time different things. Like they'll borrow money. And I just seed it because I figure you're not getting it back anyway. Just get ready, Dad. These three boys are going, hey, Dad, can I borrow $100? I'll pay you back next week. You know, next week never gets here. It's always, that'll be next week, Dad. The thing is that we have, but see, if they go to Mom, you may not know they borrowed that $100, so it don't really matter anyway. And it's because that's the way a mom is. They take care of their children even till they're older. I'm 72 this year, and my mom still is babying me at times over things. You know, that's just who she is. I've had to share my birthday with her for 72 years, so she owes me. So it's not written on spirit. It's written with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but tablets of the human hearts. You know, how many of you watch a football game, a pro football game? And you see this guy gets on they're interviewed, right? And they're asking him all these questions. He says, hi, Mom. She never passed a pass to him his whole life, but he's saying, hi, Mom. Doesn't know about Dad. But that's because moms write upon our hearts memories of things that aren't necessarily related to what we're doing, but they are. They're related automatically. You know, what moms do is written deeply in us. In Colossians chapter 3, starting to read verse 12, says this. So those who have been chosen of God, holy and beloved, put on your heart of compassion. Now, these are ingredients in the heart of a mom, I believe. Now, I'm not shortchanging us dads. There are those of us that are tender. There are those of us, right, Dak? I'm really tender, right? I never gave you a black eye. So, wanted to, but I never did. She'd take care of it for me. But put on the heart of compassion, kindness, humility. I watched a video last night on YouTube or something, and it was this guy doing these interviews, and he's saying, this job, I'm offering you a job, is a job interview video. I'm offering this job that you're going to have to work at, there's no holidays. And then he goes down the person, and then he's explaining, and then you're going to work 365 days a year. And they're all going, no, no, no. And he keeps going on about all this stuff. And he says, you know, there's billions of people doing this job now, or millions of people doing this job now. Really, what is it? It's a mother. A mother doesn't get holidays. A mother is up all hours of the night, even when their children are how old are you? 46 years old. You're that old? The thing is that a mother's job, as the old saying, is never done. It continues as long as they're alive. 72 years, it still continues. That's a mother's job. Why? Because that's the humility part. That's the compassion of the heart. Gentleness, patience. You know, when I would get mad at the kids, and I would want to punish them, Debbie would intercede. Now I'm going to tell him a story. He's not allowed to tell his brother and sister. But usually my answer when they'd ask me to do something was no. Because that's what dads do. No. And so they'd go to Mom and they'd go, well, and they'd go to, well, what Dad say? He said no, but he always says no. Well, he said, no, it's done. Sorry, I can't help you out. And 10 or 15 minutes later, she'd come to where I was like, hey, come here, I want to talk to you. Why did you tell them no? Now, if I didn't have a good answer, I was in trouble. Because it meant, she said, well, you didn't have an answer. That's not good enough. You go back and tell them they can. So I'd go back and I said, now, come here, Zach. What is it you wanted to do again? Well, I wanted to borrow the car for the next week. Okay, that's no problem. Where are you going to go? Well, okay, no big deal. They always thought that they changed my mind. They didn't realize I was already sentenced if I didn't change my mind. Because a mom's patience and gentleness is different than a dad's. Why? Because they have the closest touch to God's heart. Verse 13 says, bearing one another and forgiving each other. The good part about the kingdom of God is God has forgiven every one of us in here that have come to him. When you say, Jesus, you're my Lord, I love you, I want to be with you for eternity, forgive me of my sins, it's all gone. It's gone as far as the east, where? East. East.
East, okay.
All right. To the west.
You're trying to trick me.
I wouldn't do that to you on Mother's Day. But it's,
Some people just don't know their direction. It's all right.
oh, okay. We've been going to Kentucky for like 20 some years straight now, many times a year. In fact, we're down there next week. She wanted to go to somewhere, it's Edinburgh. And she said, how do I get there? I said, well, you'd be like going to Kentucky. Well, how do I get to Kentucky? I said, go to Indianapolis, take a right. Because there's no sense telling me to go south, because she'd go north, east, or west, because she wouldn't know me going where she's going. So anyway, never mind. I don't know why I told you that. But forgiving, so I got to get her to forgive me. And it says this, bearing one another and forgiving each other. God forgave you and I. A mother forgives faster than a dad does, I think. Again, because their heart is more connected to the heart of God. Whoever has a complaint against anyone, just as the Lord forgave you, so also should you. Verse 14, beyond these things put on love. Paul is saying, look, all these other things are great. They make you who you are, but now put on love. Have love come out of you. Let love be a part of you. Let wherever you go, let love be felt. That's all of this, but it's really true of a mom. A mom displays love a lot stronger and a lot longer than most men. Verse 15, let the peace of Christ rule your hearts. When you choose to live in forgiveness, you choose to put on love, the peace of God naturally comes upon you. And we as believers should always have that peace of God wherever we're at, wherever we're going, whatever we're doing. The peace of God should be in us. It should be displayed. You walk into somewhere, and the peace of God should be so strong on you or on us. When I say you, I'm talking about me too. Should be so strong upon us that wherever we go, people, it's like a neon sign over our heads. This person has the peace of God. Go ask them for prayer. This person has the peace of God. They will understand your struggles. And beloved, that's just the way it is. That's the way it should be. And the last thing I want to talk about is in 1 Peter chapter 3. I'm going to be reading out of the Passion Translation for my part. It'll probably be different up there. Another couple of weeks, it won't be able to do all of it. But I think the subtitle in my Passion Translation for this section says, "The Beauty of a Woman." I know Debbie just taught a women's Bible study yesterday when she talked about 31 ways to...
31 ways to be an unforgettable woman.
Yeah. Is she going to teach you? Huh? From Ruth. And ladies, if you're not busy the second Saturday of every month, you need to be here. You don't want to miss those sessions, because she's going to be teaching through that now for a while. But the beauty of a woman in 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 7 says this, and Passion. And now let me speak to the wives. Isn't that a great sentence? Let me speak to the wives. Now, in other translations, what's it say up there? Wives likewise be subject. That's even better, probably. Be subject, submissive. Oh, submissive to your own husbands. Beloved, that's taken out of context. Because, see, people take that today and say the man is the boss. Is that what it says? It makes it sound like that, doesn't it? So people take that today and say, I'm the king of my castle. You ever seen The Honeymooners? He was never the king of his castle. But the word says, likewise be submissive to your own husbands. What he's saying there is stand beside them, submit to what they're saying, but yet there's a word, there's a conversation. And every husband in here knows this, that your word is not always the last word. Right, Terry? He's safe. His wife's not here. Blake, when you get married someday, you will not have the last word, brother. I'm telling you right now. The thing is that it says, now let me speak to the wives, be devoted to your husbands, is what it really means. Be devoted to them. And that's what makes the beauty of a woman. It's coming out in this section here. It says, so that even some of them that do not obey the word of God, your kind conduct may win them over without you saying a thing. Now, most of us husbands have been in a house where the wife wasn't talking to us. That ever happened to you?
Never mind.
No, never. No, not at all. I understand that. No, is that right? Is that right, Doc? That's you too, right? The thing is I'm doing some counseling for a couple, and I did some for him first, and now I've got them both. And she would get mad, and she would clean, super clean. I mean, she'd be like the Energizer Bunny. But what happened was, when she would get mad at him, it was 3 days of silence. So not only she's cleaning super fast, but she has locked him out verbally. Now that's not the way you fix anything. But he says, but you may win them over without saying a thing. What it's saying is just your act of love, ladies. Just your act of being there, devoted to who they are in your life, will change their lives because they see God in you. It goes on to say, for when they observe your pure godly life before God, it will impact them deeply. You know, Deb and I, we got saved together, and so it's like, but I can remember at parts in our early walk with God, and maybe still today, there are times when we're not walking side by side in our walk. One of us is a little bit ahead of the other one. Well, the other one then wants to catch up. And so in the beginning, I'd be out here way ahead of her, and she just sort of, but all of a sudden, man, she's dashed before me. And she challenged me to get stronger in my walk with God. And that's what happens in a good relationship. A wife that steps out and gets deeper. I tell wives all the time when I do counseling for them, I said, well, he won't go to church with me. I said, don't stop going to church. Just because he won't go, you go. And it works the reverse too for men. You know, you go. And as you gain the word in you, as you grow in your strength of the word, it will change him and her, and they will start coming with you. Verse 3 and 4 of that same passage says, let your true beauty come from your inner personality. You know, I preached a sermon one time years ago. I won't ever preach it again. And it's called "If the Barn Needs Painting, Paint It." It was a sermon to women, and that church about threw me out the door anyway, or the ladies anyway. It was like a lot of times, guys, seriously, most of us don't really care. Ladies, most of us don't really care if you have makeup on or not, because we're not looking at the makeup. We see in you the beauty of God. We see in you without all. I tell Debbie all the time, you don't have to put that junk on your face. I love you. I guess, who is it? Randy Travis has a song, if your hair falls out, I'd still love you, or something like that. It's one of the lines in the song like that. And it's like, if a church talk about if your hair all fell out, I'd still love you. I still see the beauty. I'm going to give you an example. There's a young lady that she had cancer. She's going to lose all her hair, so she just went ahead and zipped all the hair off. She was just as beautiful without the hair as she was with the hair. Now, I know, I'm afraid that, nothing against you, Danny, I mean, but see, I don't have your head. I've had a picture taken with Pastor David Guernsey and Pastor Mike, or Pastor Mike's church when he was here. And I looked at that and said, man, I have got a melon on my shoulders. It's huge. You know, it's like, I don't know why I go in there. So me, no hair, that's not working, okay? But some probably stick their fingers in my eyes, try to use me as a bowling ball. But he goes, let your true beauty come from your inner personality. That was a freebie, okay? Why? That's not in my notes. I don't even know why it came out of my mouth. Let your true beauty come from your inner personality, ladies, not focusing on the external. The external is going to change. I see Debbie still today as I saw her the day I met her the first time, sitting in the back room of Steak and Shake as I walked in. I still see her. Now, we have changed. We see each other the same way we saw each other way back then. Why? Because we choose to see that in that other person, so that as we grow older, we don't change. The thing is, this for everlasting beauty comes from the gentle, peaceful spirit, which is precious in God's sight, is much more important than the outward adornment, elaborate hair, jewelry, and fine clothes. No, I'm not going to do that. I got myself enough trouble today. Verse 5 says, holy women of long ago had to set their hopes on God, beautify themselves with lives lived in deference to their own husband's authority. You know, where there's love between a husband and a wife, that wife is, no matter what she's wearing, no matter what she looks like, there's still love there and there's still beauty there that the husband sees, that the children see. Children don't look at us as we grow older. I know it was Zach or Mindy one years ago, a few years back. I think it was Zach said, he said, Mom and Dad aren't changing. They're not growing older. He hasn't seen me lately yet without my makeup. But the thing is that when we love somebody, the beauty of that person doesn't change. That inner person who we truly are. This temple changes. This temple grows older. It looks different. But who we really are inside, when we allow that to come out, the people that love us still see us as they saw us before. Verse 6 says, for example, our mother Sarah devoted herself to her husband Abraham, and even called him master. You haven't called me master in a long time, so I want you to underline that in your Bible.
You didn't see my hand motion, did you?
I did see it. I thought it was something else, so I was knowing you. So, what? Now I'm really in trouble. It's Mother's Day. I shouldn't pick on my wife, should I? I'm not picking on my mom, though. So I'm still good. She's not my mom. She's my kid's mom. That's what I say every year. Still get her flowers. For example, your mom, where was I at? And you have become her daughters when you do what is right without fear and intimidation. Husbands, listen to this, guys. Husbands, you in turn must treat your wife with tenderness, viewing them as feminine partners who deserve to be honored, for they are co-heirs with you in the divine grace of life, and nothing will hinder your prayers. Guys, if we want our prayers honored and not hindered, then we need to be giving that type of reaction to our wives. Wives, if your husbands aren't doing that, you still do what the word says you're to do. You adorn yourself with the inner beauty and let it come out automatically for them to see. They will be changed. So today, as I said several times, I'll say it one last time, we celebrate moms. Truly, we are celebrating the beauty of God. For I truly believe that the heart of a mom is truly the closest thing you can get to the heart of God. And when we do that, you and I walk away blessed. We walk away from this day where we honor moms. We honor women in this church, period. Because we view every woman as the ability to at least be a spiritual mom, if they're not a physical mom. And I know for a fact, those that we honor and hear over the years, that that's truly the case. But ladies, as you step into your role as mothers, whether it be spiritual or physical, you step into it and you live it to its fullest. You allow the inner beauty in you, the heart of God that's in you, to arise up and display the love only that you have. Because you see your kids, spiritual or physical kids, you see them as Jesus sees them. You have the heart for them as he has the heart for you and for us. Amen?